All right, and a very good morning to you once again. Welcome to your world. My name is Zainab Ismail once again. Now, on the 15th of July, the world marks the World Youth Skills Day to celebrate the strategic importance of equipping young people with skills for employment, decent work and entrepreneurship. Now, the theme for the World Youth Skills Day this year is skilling teachers, trainers and youth for transformative future. It highlights the essential role that teachers, trainers and other education players in providing skills for youth to transition to the labor market and to actively engage in their communities and societies. Then you have issues of technological advancements and shifting labor market dynamics, which are also increasingly calling for agile and adaptable skill sets. And that's the conversation I want us to have this morning, as well as why the technical and vocational education and training are at the forefront to meet these demands by reducing access barriers to the world of work. All right, and with me this morning, I'm going to begin with the gentleman sitting at my far left, Bwana Gideon Murenga, who is the TVET National Coordinator, GIZ Kenya. Very good morning. Good to see you. Karibu to NTV.
Thank you so much.
And we also have Dr. Esther Dhara Mworia, who is the Principal Secretary, State Department for TVET. Very good morning to you, Daktari. Good to see you as well.
Good morning.
Indeed, as well as Victoria Wanjiku, who is a trainee at the Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology. Will be giving us a first-hand experience of really what this program has meant for her. But before we get into a conversation very quickly, just to remind you of that campaign we've been running on Colgate and what it is aiming to do, where children all around Kenya rely on water from unsafe sources. Now, Colgate is asking you to help change this, and they're saying just a little water can make a big difference. For every pack of Colgate you buy exclusively at Naivas, you're helping them build about 30 water wells that will provide clean water for 120,000 Kenyans. By giving them a helping hand, you can shop at your nearest Naivas store or online at naivas.co.ke. For more information about that campaign, you can go to their Facebook page or wellboringcolgate.com. Terms and conditions do apply on the same. But getting to our theme of conversation this morning, which is skilling teachers, trainers and youth for transformative future, really on the back of what we expect to be marked on the 15th of this month, which is sadly the issue about the Youth Skills Day. Let me begin with you, Bwana Gideon. When you're talking about that, why is it so important for this day for us to understand the essence really of the World Youth Skills Day when you're talking about upskilling our young people, not just in the country but in the continent as well?
Yeah, thank you, Zainab. I think that's a very pertinent question. I think the aspect of youth, especially when you look at our continent, the youth population is quite huge. And when it comes to aspects of them adding value to the economy of the country, right, they play a very critical role. But then if we expect our economy to grow, it means we must be driven by a competent workforce. And this competent workforce is generated from the young people that we have. And therefore, it is important to celebrate this day so that we recognize the important role that youth play in economic development of our country. And as you've rightly put it, TVET, or Technical Vocational Education and Training, is a critical instrument in skilling these young people. Therefore, it's very important that we celebrate these young people, as we just recognize their important role they play in the economic development of our country.
Right. And Dr. P.S., we've had a million times that our graduates really lack the requisite skills in the job market. It's been a big issue really in the country. Just talk to us about that particular matter, and what steps are we taking in terms of policy as well to address this particular issue, and really to make sure that TVET training caters to the needs of the job market and the trainers, the trainees as well.
Thank you, Zainab, for having me this morning. It's a pleasure to be here to really speak into where we must go as a country as far as changing that narrative is concerned. It is true that we have had this conversation about graduates who really go into industry to restart training all over again. And this we have belabored for quite some time, and it is just time that Zainab, we changed this narrative by having the correct skilling being done in our institution, so that by the time we let our youth out there, they are already well skilled to go and start the world of work without them having to be retrained. So the policy guideline or the policy direction that my department has to take is where we need to train the young people from industry, in industry, with industry, and for industry. So that what we are doing in our institution, the vision is to have the youth absolutely skilled by the time they are out there in the world of work, having even learned the culture of the institution, of the industry to which they are going to function, to work. So Zainab, this is the policy direction that we are taking, that we must get from a situation where we are training technical labor on a theory basis. It's got to go into the industry based training, into the industry, into the skills training. Our directioning now is to skill our youth
when you're looking at the trajectory, do you feel we're on the right track? Have we made some strides heading to the right direction?
Zainab, I came into a space where the skilling of the youth was being done, but not to a very large extent. So we immediately took into recrafting the curricula, so that if we are talking about training, for example, building and civil engineering, we agreed with my principals in all the institutions that we are going to recraft the curricula into skill sets, where if you are training in civil and building engineering, you train into skills such as gypsum technology, into walling, painting, tiling, so that we are not assuming, we do not want to assume anymore that we are training in these skills, but we want to have those skills in place. For example, now Zainab, if you go to Meru National Polytechnic, they are doing absolutely very good gypsum technology, because that is where we have agreed we have to go to. From training in that particular skill, then we move to the next skill and another and another. So we are recrafting the curricula so that we ensure that we are training our youth to do, not just theory. Yes.
And Victoria, I mean, as a trainee, you going under this dual TVET program, just give us your experience, and do you feel it has any impact on how you are adapting, you know, even to the market? Because I know the dual program, which means you're working sort of part-time and you're also training. Do you feel it has any impact, any difference for you?
First of all, my name is Victoria Wanjiko, a student at Kiambu Institute undertaking industrial mechatronics, which is under dual partnership with the German companies. I can say there is a difference from other students, how they do it. For us, you have to study and then go to school, to the company for a practical session.
So you're doing at the same time?
For one block, you are in school, the next block you go do what you have learned in school practically. So there is a big difference. You meet other students from other institutions who have not gained that experience with the companies. So you are the one, like, you can mentor them or something.
And how has that been for you? Do you feel like it has any impact on how even your own confidence in performing the kind of work that, you know, at the end of it all, when you're done with the training, you'd be able to tackle?
Yeah, there is a big difference. There is an impact. You can, for us, for instance, for us who have undergone the dual training, you can come up with your own project, where you can build the, say, like, you can come up with your own project, and which will help to develop the country in one way or another.
And that is actually something interesting. And I mean, I know GIZ has been really pushing for this and really asking the industry to be part of this as well. But really, how is your organization also trying to push and encouraging the participation of industry in building capacity of trainees, and not just trainees, but trainers as well?
Thank you for that. I think the dual training approach, which Victoria has explained, it combines learning in a TVET institution and in an industry.
Right. So both practical and theory at the same time.
Absolutely, at the same time. Because I think what you said, the skills mismatch.
Yeah.
What the industry is saying, that students are coming in with skills that are not, in demand in the labor market. Then what we are saying is that instead of you being on the other side and complaining about the skills, why don't we work together to develop a joint curriculum? So that means we address the issues of relevance of the curriculum. Now, the model we are using is that, the usual terms we use in school, in the education system. So the first time you start in school, the second time you go to the industry, third time you come back to school, the following year, first time you go to the industry. So you rotate. So a minimum of 50% you'll spend in the industry training, a minimum of 50%. So it means the industry training can go to as high as 70 or 80%. So you get much more industry exposure. And then the other theoretical sessions are covered in the institution. Therefore, the issue about industries is, yes, so industries is about value proposition. What do they see out of that? I think when we started the program, there was this notion of industries want you to pay them for them to attach students. And it's a notion that has been there for a long time. Now, for this kind of students going to the dual program, the notion changed along the way because industry realized that because students are spending much more time at their place, they're actually contributing to the production processes itself. They are occupying a space where they could have employed an intern or they could have employed somebody to utilize that space. And eventually now it has changed. Some of the industries are actually paying the students stipends while they undergo the industry training blocks.
Right. So it's by the time you're done with school, you already are, acclimated to how things really work.
Absolutely.
So it's easy for you to be sort of, absorbed into the market.
In fact, what they are calling it is plug and play.
Right.
They employ you, give you a contract in the morning. At 10, you're already working. No induction because you already, understand the culture of the organization, you know the work culture, you're already part of them. So it is easy for them. They don't have to spend, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to retrain you or induct you or something like that. And that is what the industries because it saves them costs of retraining and, other things. So it's about just value proposition for the industries. Indeed. And that is why the notion has now changed. We even have a case that I would give you in one of the institutions in Western Kenya called the Kerubo Gietai. They are working with 11 tea factories. The tea factories are actually paying school fees for the students.
Right.
They're actually paying school. So they are contributing actually to paying school for these students because they see the value that these students give to them.
Right. And Madam PS, even as trying to push industries to really understand why this is so important, before we get to that, I want to address this issue of perception that, first of all, TVET is a secondary option to, the traditional education path that, this is how it should be. In case you do not get an opportunity to study what we know as the traditional, education courses, then TVET is now, go and probably there's this person, go be a plumber, go be a mason or whatever. And it looks like it's something that is of a lower level. How do we begin addressing this, especially among young people who feel like, no, why do I need to go and do some technical work?
Zainab, just like we did for a long time with the girl child, overemphasize that space, we did the same as a country, most likely for good reasons, with university education and all that, at the expense of technical training. And now as a country, we realize if we have got to go into economic transformation, which is what the Kenya Kwanza government is about, then we need the skills. And the skills are about training our youth in the technical institutions, and this is the agenda that we must sell. We must educate all Kenyans into realizing that if we've got to go to the next level of development, which this country has to get into, we need the skills. That's one narrative that we must drive, and which has to go into everybody's attention in this country. So as a department, what are we doing?
Right.
Zainab, we have come up with what we are calling an information communication and transformation agenda, where we are going to communicate it to the world, or especially to Kenyans, that we are the way to go. TVET is the way to go. And Zainab, we have a plan where we are going to start this gospel in Western Kenya. And I have had a conversation with my CS, and we have agreed that in Western Kenya, we are going to have a big conversation with people in Western Kenya, and we are looking forward into Honorable Musalia Mudavadi being our guest of honor at Sigalagara National Polytechnic, and we are hoping that this is going to have to be at the end, towards the last week of this month, where we are going to have all people from Western Kenya and probably even from the Lake region coming together with the Honorable Mudavadi as our guest of honor, and we have this conversation. We converse with Kenyans that this is the way to go. After that, Zainab, our dream is that we are going to bring this conversation to Central Kenya, where again we want to ask our CS to request the Honorable, the Deputy President, to be our guest of honor. Again, we have all the institutions and as many schools in Central Province as possible to be there, so that we can tell them skills way is the way to go. TVET is the way to go.
So you must address the mindset issue then.
Yes.
I think that's one of the biggest issues.
So yes. So as we speak with these people, we are looking into showing them or telling them the importance of having the skills as Kenyans, because like I said earlier on, this is the way we are going to transform this space, so that we are a different country, where we have people who can do what they are supposed to do, and not just have the theories. And then again, Zainab, at the end of the day, we expect to have a big rally where we hope that our president will be available to be our guest of honor, so that we can speak to the Kenyans and they are able to understand that we need the skills so as to be able to do what they need to do, and not just get out of colleges and they cannot even find employment, because the industry in Kenya now is about what can you do, not what certificate do you have.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the biggest issues we certainly have to tackle as a country.
Yes.
I'll get back to you, Victoria, in a moment, but we have to take a quick break on Your World. When we come back, we'd like to hear from you on what you feel about this whole thing. And it's an issue of sort of trying to tackle the state of unemployment in the country, which is a heavy burden for a lot of young people here in Kenya. It's all about upskilling the young people, and of course that comes on the issue of the World Youth Skills Day that is expected to be marked on the 15th of this month. All right, let's take that break. But before that, also just to remind you, the campaign on Colgate, they want to tell you that you can do something about that, and you can actually make people smile, and those people around you smile. It's asking you, Colgate, to provide clean drinking water so that children can have a bright future by staying in school. For every pack of Colgate that you buy at your nearest Naivas store over the next 2 months, you're going to help them build about 30 water wells that will provide clean water for 120,000 people. And of course, after with that, you can be able to visit the Colgate Kenya Facebook page or wellboring.colgate.com website for more information. Terms and conditions apply. We'll be back. Stay with us.
as a mother, I have to do my duties in the house. It forces me to send her to the river because I have no alternative.
Pia ora ok ber, ler bedo ko ler. Otuo nikech pia ora. Otuo ok odhi school japuonj chunye chandore.
If children had water close by, they won't be sick, they won't be distracted because the water is clean.
What happened to you?
Well, I hit myself with a fridge door.
You should be more careful.
I know.
I'm very much a real woman, but I won't allow you to treat me like just one of your collection. I didn't like the way you treated me at the hotel. Something has happened that Diego and I are completely at odds about. He wants one thing and I want the opposite. It's as if he's two different people. The Diego before and the now.
Head over heels.
How do you keep your toilets clean?
I use normal detergent and bleach for washing.
The detergent and bleach cleanliness can leave behind yellowness, rust, and germs.
Harpic's 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergents and bleach, and kills 99.9% illness-causing germs in your toilet, including the COVID-19 virus.
Are you a Kenyan youth ready to unlock your true potential? Join us on the 14th and 15th of July 2023 at the University of Nairobi for the Skill Up Africa 2023 as we mark World Youth Skills Day and get the chance to gain insight on the skills that will shape your future and unlock your potential. Register now for free entry at kenyadars.com or call 0724 661 440 to explore 2 days of transformative experiences, empowering dialogues, and invaluable networking opportunities. Skill Up Africa 2023, unlocking the potential of Kenyan youth through skills development.
Exponential potential.
Good morning and welcome to The Morning Fix. This is the show where we do ukarabati wa asubuhi. My name is Mariam Bishar.
And the most bankable host, Brian Aseli. Good morning, my neighbors!
Get up and get ready for the most electrifying morning show on your airwaves. Mariam and Aseli on The Morning Fix every weekday from 6 to 10 a.m.
I think Uganda is the only country that they can actually do a musical. All of them. Because they speak funny.
No.
They speak funny.
Only on
96.3 Nation FM.
All that talk about the best.
This week on Crossover, we take time to appreciate those people who have risen above all odds.
And joining us in studio, we'll have Gladys Cherotich and Babushka.
So save the date from 11:30 to 1 p.m. only on NTV.
And this is Crossover.
Bluebird peanut butter, made with 100% pure peanuts and a good source of omega-6. Grow healthy and happy kids with Bluebird peanut butter. Available in 200 grams, 400 grams, and 800 grams. Buy a pack today.
You are watching Your World in association with Colgate.
All right, welcome back to the program. You're watching Your World as we converse around the issue of the World Youth Skills Day, which falls under the theme of skilling teachers, trainers, and youth for a transformative future. I am with me in studio with Gideon Murenga, who is the Technical Vocational Education and Training National Coordinator, GIZ Kenya. Also, Dr. Esther Dhara Muoria, who is the Principal Secretary, State Department for TVET, as well as Victoria Wanjiku, a trainee from the Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology. And I'll get to you, Victoria, in terms of, was this your first choice when you decided, I want to do this, I want to go to this institute and choose, I think you told me something, mechatronics?
Mechatronics.
Yes, my God, I don't even understand what that is, but yes, that you can maybe explain to us a little bit about what that is. But was it your first choice? If there were other options on the table when it comes to that issue of looking at TVETs as a secondary option, as opposed to saying I'm going to university to study medicine and all these other things, was there a choice for you?
First of all, I would like to tell you what mechatronics is about.
Right.
It's a combination of like 3 courses at a go, where you have to study electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, and also programming.
Okay.
Since the industry we are heading to it's called the industrialization world,
right.
4.0, where it's becoming to be automated, where you use less human intervention.
Right.
Where everything will be automated. Yeah, and then about the TVET, my dream was always to do engineering, even if it was in TVET or in universities.
You knew you had a focus.
Yeah,
right.
Engineering, or the other option was medicine. So when I heard there's about a program that is starting called Industrial Mechatronics, I said, let me give a try. Yeah.
Do you feel, from even your peers and the people you're in school with, do you feel like there was perhaps a perception that TVET isn't really my option, my number one option? Is that a conversation you've had among your peers?
Yeah, some of them say they want to go to universities. Yeah.
Even after the TVET training?
Yeah.
Right.
Some of them, they came there just only for the purpose to get the papers. Yeah. But when you know you're determined with what you want to get,
right,
you have to go for it. Yeah.
All right. And Gideon, when you listen to that, I mean, it's certainly a big issue when you're looking at the perception within which people view TVETs in terms of, a secondary option, really not the traditional educational path that anybody would take. But that should be changing. Like she says, we're heading into an industrialization world 4.0, whatever that is. Thank you. I'll have to go and research about that. But yes, I'm really addressing this particular matter.
I mean, you've rightly put it. I think it's all a perception issue that we have to move away from. First of all, TVET is not for failures. Right. I think there's a notion that, my son or my daughter has not managed to go to the university.
Correct.
Therefore, I can consider TVET as the option for them. That is a wrong perception.
Right.
TVET is an alternative pathway to education, and that is what we have to look at it. Is an alternative pathway, irrespective of what qualification you get. You should provide an avenue for anybody to rise through a TVET pathway, or you take an academic pathway.
Right.
And those provisions are there very clearly. Right now, I think with the policies that are in place and all the support systems in TVET, it's no longer a dead end as most people perceive it, but it lays a foundation for lifelong learning. You start the journey, you can progress to whatever level. As Victoria has mentioned, some of our colleagues want to go to advance their studies. That is the flexibility that we refer to when it comes to TVET. You can move out of a TVET system and go into the labor market and start working. You can get partial qualifications, as Madam P.S. has mentioned. Partial qualification, then after some time you come in for another partial qualification, then you get a full qualification, then proceed to whichever direction you want to take. That is the flexibility that is provided within the TVET course field. And because in TVET, you can develop very short courses, even 3 months. You just acquire a skill, or let's say electrical installation. You get a partial qualification, you can go to the field and start working. That's the provision that it has. When there's change in technology in the industry, it's only TVET that has that flexibility to retrain and reskill people so that they acquire those new skills. If you're going for a university course, you need probably 4 years for you to complete it. But we are talking about acquiring a short skill for you to progress. And when you talk about things like lifelong learning now, it is no longer, you know, it's now a necessity.
Right.
Yeah. Why? Because the labor market is changing very fast. Career guidance, we were told a long time ago that it belongs to high school students.
Right.
When you go to developed countries, career guidance is for everyone. Even the people already in the working professions.
Yeah.
Things are changing. There are jobs that are becoming obsolete.
Correct.
TVET gives you the opportunity to go back, acquire a competence or a skill in a certain area to make you continue being relevant in the world of work. So it's a whole perception issue that need to change because how many people, universities train you a lot on management skills. How many people can be managers? Yeah? So when you look at a structure of, let's say, an industry, for example, only very few people can take those managerial positions.
Right.
But the people who do the real hands-on, the people who drive the change, are the majority of the people that we need for the country. Those are the people.
They're the ones who actually drive the economy of the country.
Absolutely. When you talk about our industrialization agenda, for us to achieve that, we cannot be able to achieve that if we do not have people with hands-on skills.
Right.
Otherwise, all of us will be queuing in offices with certificates.
Supervising.
And supervisors. You have to be, so we cannot all be supervisors.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, Madam Pierce, even as you add on to that, I mean, it's true. We cannot all be managers and supervisors, but really the core of how economies grow, it's through the people who actually do the jobs and understand how this is done. Perhaps from a policy perspective, how do we address that?
Thank you, Zainab. Like I said earlier, the economy now, the industries, the industrialization pathway that we are in now is about what can you do, not the certificates that you have.
Correct.
And this is what our Kenyan youth have to understand, that when now you go to the world of work, it is about what can you do. That is what the world is looking for.
Right.
And like the student said, the world is changing very quickly. And we have to change with it, and the TVET is providing that base where today things are being done this way, but they change very quickly tomorrow. And like Murenga said, we are offering micro qualification, part qualification, and full qualification. That flexibility.
Right.
That is, we have recrafted our curricula in such a way that you can be able to train on need basis. Again, we say that we are linking our institutions to the industries.
Right.
All right, so that we are able to know what are the industry needs, and we are able to come back and redo our micro qualifications, the skills, so that they match what is in industry.
Do we have
and this is the policy direction
Right.
that we are taking, so that we are not training what was trained 2 years ago. We are training as the trend is. And your question is, do we have those industries that we are working with? Absolutely, yes. The Nairobi and the TTI, NTTI, has been linked with CMC. I was there the other day.
CMC Motors, right.
CMC Motors.
Right.
So what the students are doing at Nairobi NTTI, and then proceeded to CNC to see them under the vehicles, even the girls doing very well under the vehicles, so that when we have different vehicles tomorrow, Zainab, then we bring those students back, be able to reskill them as per the new motors, the new vehicles at CMC, all right? So that we continuously speak. Remember, as soon as these students train at NTTI and graduate, CMC is ready for them because they even know the culture of that industry.
Right.
So that we are continuously speaking with these industries, and we are able to recraft these graduates, even when they are graduates, to the new technologies that are coming in. The other example is, like Murenga said, Ekerupogetai, where our students belong to the tea sector. They are able to run their machine 50% of the time. They are in the tea farms, working with their machinery, and they come back to the institution on and off. And remember, the Zainab, we have also made our national polytechnics the qualification awarding institutions, so that they are also able to recraft the curricula locally as per the needs of those industry. So that is what we are doing. And the last 2-3 weeks, Murenga, GIZ, and my staff were on the coast region, checking all our institutions along the coast region and the industries that we are linking them to, so that, like I said, we are training them with those industries so that we are able to know what is needed and we are able to train. And remember, Zainab, our young people are training to be employed or to start their own enterprises.
Correct.
So we are encouraging our young people. This is the space where we are training them in a directioned way. We are not just training you to give you a certificate and you go with it. This is the policy direction. We are not just training you to go out there. We are training you knowing where we got you from, because together with GIZ, we are admitting from industry. So that we have a directioned training where we know what is the end of you as a trainee. As we train you, we know where you are going. You're not just going to get lost in the world. And this is what we are encouraging our young people to perceive, that TVET is training in a directioned manner, and we have changed our curricula so that we are training you to be able to be skilled, to be able to do something which the industry needs.
Indeed.
Yes.
And Victoria, even as you listen to this, do you feel like, even as you're done with your training, you are confident that even with the company that you are perhaps getting your practical training from, if you don't work there, you're confident that you will still get a job when you are done? And would you recommend this program to people like yourselves, young people?
Yeah, let's say for now, if you get the papers and you have the skills that are required, you can go and look for a job anywhere. Since more industries are coming up, showing up, they want to learn what this program is about, and also they want to see what you have for them. Yeah, you can look for a job anywhere, since you are also doing a certification that is from the German chambers, the AHK one. So you can look for a job anywhere in the country with that in the continent.
So you feel like you have necessary support when it comes to the skills that you have acquired then, and even with the papers that you are going to receive at the end of it all, that at the end of it all, I am pretty qualified to be in the market. And when I go to this company and tell them, look, this is what I know and this is what I can do, you're pretty sure that you're actually above others who perhaps have only gone through theoretical studies.
Yeah, as the PS has said, in the interview they ask you, what can you do, not about the papers. So they give you a task. If you do it well, you're qualified. And also in the industries, I met students from the universities. They don't have the practical part. They know the theory only, but they don't have the practical one.
So you feel you're at an advantage, actually?
Yeah, at an advantage, as I can say. So you find people from the university or even other TVET who have not, they go for industries only once in a year, which is, if you complete your examination, you go for industry, and they go twice in the course. For us, you go after every block, that is after every 3 months, you go back to the company, and still when you're in school, you have also a program where you go for practical sessions. Let's say like fabrication, where you go for welding, cutting metals, doing some projects here and there. Yeah. So I'd say I can automatically get a job anywhere.
So at least the confidence level is actually there, because you feel you are at an advantage point when it comes to that. But Gideon, when you're talking about sustainability of this model, what strategies are there to make sure that this isn't just a short-term kind of a a model that will play out for a couple of years and then we go back to the old system? What can we do to ensure that this is something that picks up for good, for the long term, and then we're able to actually measure the impact of the model itself.
Okay, so maybe before I mention the sustainability model, it's just good to know and mention the institutions that are actually working on this, because maybe the viewers want to find out, if I want to join the program, where do I go to?
Right.
So there are 7 institutions that started the program in 2019, the dual TVET program. The PS has mentioned Nairobi TTI is one of them. We have Thika TTI and Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology, where Victoria is a student. There are 4 more institutions in Western. We have Kerubo Gietai, which we have talked about. They are partnering with the tea industries. We have Ramogi Institute of Advanced Technology in Kisumu. They are doing refrigeration and air conditioning.
Right.
There's Bumbe TTI in Busia. They are doing automotive technician. And Kitale National Polytechnic, who are doing farm machinery mechatronics. So these are the institutions that pioneered, let's say, the last 4 years. Now we are moving into a phase where we are going to onboard 60 more institutions in the country that are going to be part of this model across the country. And in this new model, we are jointly, of course, the program is jointly financed by the German government and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Finland in this new phase that is going to take place until 2026. And therefore, part of what you've asked about the sustainability aspects have been integrated in this new phase that we are going into. We are targeting 6,000 students, more to join the dual TVET program. 40% of them women, therefore the focus of ladies, especially on STEM courses, is a key priority area that we are looking at, and 1% persons with disability. Out of this, we anticipate to have about 800 companies joining and partnering with these different institutions. And some of them, I think from the success models that have happened in the pilot phase, they're already showing interest. We had a situation in KIST last year, or the phase, where we had more industry slots than the vacancies that were at the institution. So when you talk about where these industries, they are there. They are actually there. There were more slots. In fact, some of them had to be told, wait until the next intake. So sustainability models that we are integrating, first of all, we are working with the Ministry of Education to develop a dual TVET policy. Once we have a policy, then it means we have a regulatory framework that ensures that whatever we do is actually captured within a regulatory framework. And of course, we'll work also on development of standards, supporting the government with that, so that there are standards and guidelines of implementation of dual training. Aspects of coordination, the PS did a very good job when she came to the office. She established the industry liaison office at the ministry, which was never there before. That means aspects of coordination of industry linkage is now directly under the ministry. So that makes it easy to bring the industry players together to come and discuss how can they be able to work and be able to support the model. So the aspects around building capacity is also key, because we can have a very good model, but if there's no capacity, then implementation becomes a challenge. And therefore, we're working with the Kenya School of TVET on the capacity development aspect, because they are the ones responsible for training TVET teachers in Kenya. So the capacity development aspect is integrated there. When it comes to aspects of gender inclusion aspect, we have already worked with the support of the ministry and the National Gender and Equality Commission to develop a gender mainstreaming policy for TVET. And this was actually approved last year by the Gender and Equality Commission. So that is already in place. So supporting establishment of gender committees within TVET institutions so that they can support the inclusion of more women. We need more Victorias, to be in the system. And I mean, some of the industries from the ones we have engaged with, I don't know how, but they have categorized ladies doing much more. They are more committed to their work than the gentlemen. And that's why from her class, I think the ones who have already have confirmed slots, by now there are more ladies who have confirmed slots with the industry. So we want more women, to get into this STEM courses.
Because actually, it's actually seen as a boy-child kind of trainings.
When you see the dirty work and you imagine that, I'm just going to work under garage and, oil and something.
But I like that is actually sort of, it's a narrative that is changing. And I think there's a lot of work that is put there. And Madam PS, as we wind up the conversation, just want to understand, you've taken over this particular subsector. Just really, what is your vision for TVET in the coming days and years? How do you intend to really make that difference and change so that we see a really massive impact under your tenure, perhaps?
Zainab, my vision is to make this space a skills training space, where the people that are going to go through this space will be competent in what they do. Right. That's my absolute dream. So that now, like I've already said, we are busy changing the curricula. We are busy making the national polytechnics and qualification awarding institutions so that they are able to speak to the locals in a very integrated way. Right. Where we have now brought up CDAC. CDAC is the Curriculum Development Assessment and Qualification Council, which my dream is that it is going to be the prefect, the overarching body of the curricular development and assessment, as well as certification of our students at that level, so that we have the national polytechnics being qualification awarding institutions at this level, and CDAC at the higher level as the external examiners. And Zainab, we are also dreaming into bringing in the German AHK, who are also an examining body, so that we can internationalize our certificates. Right. So that our plea to the youth is that this is the space to be, because this country is getting quickly industrialized. Right. The other day I was in Coast, and I think I learned that about 58 industries are coming into that space. And yesterday, one of my colleagues said that there was a conversation with Saudi to bring in another 40 industries. Right. So we are looking into being the ready factor even as these industries come into Kenya. Right. And that is how we are going to plummet to the next level of development, where industries are coming and finding people who are ready to get into that space because they have the competencies. Right. The other day, my colleague I sent one of my colleagues for a graduation at Moringa. And she told me that as those students were graduating, industries like Safaricom and others were there to just take them away, to go into industry because they need them. The other day I was also at Eastlands College, where they are also training students at this level. And they told us that they trained some people in electrical, went to an industry, another industry came in, took away all those, so they were literally at the gate waiting for them to train others. So this is what I am looking into as far as my TVET institutions are concerned. We want to go into a space where we are training them so technically, so skilled, so competent that industry will be there needing them, or we will already have trained them with the industries anyway. And like Morenga said, we are building these MOUs with these industries so that even the industries can see the need to work with us for what they need.
And certainly, hopefully, to address the burden of unemployment in the country as well.
Yes, yes.
All right. And Victoria, just lastly, quickly, your advice to young people.
My advice to young people would be that they don't look at the TVET as the second option, failure. Even the parents, they should also change their perceptions on the TVET institution, since there is where you go and gain your skills, and also you can employ yourself and create employment for other young people. And also, as for the female out there, like nowadays it's changing. They don't look as engineering like for job for men. Now it's changing somehow. You'll find more ladies in engineering.
The interest in
and also they are pursuing the course in engineering than men, since they'll be more committed, as you said, than men. So where they have to prove they can do it. And also, as you mark the World Skills Youth Day, I participated in World Skills Kenya, and also World Skills Africa in Namibia, where you became the second runners-up in Africa.
Congratulations.
In mechatronics skills.
Oh my goodness, the second runners-up in Megatronic skills?
Yes, in
That
Africa.
is fantastic. I mean, that's something to actually celebrate. And we actually wish you the best as you continue with this. I'm sure you're going to be an industry leader in a couple of years, and I'm sure you're probably even going to be employing more young people into that industry. But thank you. We don't have much time, but Gideon, final remarks?
Yeah, I think from my side, I think let's look at how can we be able to develop our young people. And I think starting from their parents, there's need to be a lot of understanding from the parents as well. Let us embrace TVET because TVET is the way to go. TVET will transform the lives of these young people. TVET will transform our country. TVET will transform our economy. So let's everybody embrace TVET.
We have to change that mindset. All right, thank you so much, Gideon Muranga, TVET National Coordinator. I keep saying GIZ Kenya, but Madam Pia said GIZ. So that's GIZ. I've always said GIZ, but I apologize for that. GIZ Kenya. Dr. Esther Dhara Muoria, who is the Principal Secretary, State Department for TVET, that's the Technical Vocational Education and Training, as well as Victoria Wanjiku, who's a trainee from the Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology. Thank you so much once again for joining us this morning to have this conversation as we look forward to the World Youth Skills Day that is expected to happen on the 15th of April, just 3 days, or is it 2 days from now? It should be on Saturday. Yes. That is on Saturday, all right. And that's where we wrap it up. But just so very quickly as well, going back to that campaign that is being pushed by Colgate, of course, which is asking you to help them when a child has to help their families fetch water. There is no such thing as a day off. You can help them change that. And Colgate is asking all of you to help support the future of the country. And just like clean water, every little drop makes a difference. For every pack of Colgate that you buy at your nearest Naivas store, you're able to help them to build about 30 water wells that will provide clean water to 120,000 Kenyans. You can make a larger impact and help them to reach more Kenyans by donating via M-Pesa. And also, children around Kenya really rely on water from unsafe sources. So they're asking you to help change this, and just a little water can make a difference. And once again, for every pack of Colgate you buy exclusively at Naivas, you're helping them build 30 water wells that will provide clean water for 120,000 Kenyans. So give a helping hand by shopping at your nearest Naivas store or online at naivas.co.ke. For more information about this campaign by Colgate, go to their Facebook page or wellboring/colgate.com, and terms and conditions apply. Well, that's where we wrap it up on Your World this morning. Thank you so much for joining, and for my guests as well for making the time to have this conversation. Have yourself a good morning and good day. My name is Zainab Ismail.
Your World, in association with Colgate.